Hello, everyone. I hope that everyone is having a fantastic day. I know that today is going to be wonderful for you guys. I am out all day today, but I have a series of videos that will help you to fill out your notes and help you with instructions. So I'm assuming that everybody brought their laptop and some earbuds, as I told you guys before. So let's get right to it. So these notes right here, the Algebra 1 Unit 1, the Algebra 1 Unit 7 Day 2 notes should be at the top of the packet of work that you received. So all of these notes we filled out last class, so I'm not going to review any of it. However, we are going to go to the last page because we didn't finish that, okay? So just give me a second and I'm going to open this up all the way. Okay, here we are. So most of this right here, we already filled out. We already did the example 1 and example 2. We did not get to complete example 3 and example 4, and that is what we're going to focus on right now, okay? So the very first thing that we're doing is we're solving inequalities, and I want you guys to remember that the formula that we need to be remembering, we need to make sure that our inequalities is in the form of y equals mx plus b. And looking at this right here, it doesn't look like this is in y equals mx plus b format. So that means that I'm going to have to do some work, okay? So that means I need to get y by itself, which means I need to solve for y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract right here. I'm going to subtract 3 over 4 on this side, and then I'm going to put it right over here, 3 over 4, negative 3 over 4x. You guys are going to have to bear with me. I know this is really bad. I'm still learning this, okay? So that means that we are going to have, and it will read, y is greater than or equal to a negative 3 over 4x plus 4. Okay, now I want you guys to remember that our B right here is our y-intercept. Our M is our slope. And if you were to look at these, if you were to compare this right here, y equals mx plus b, to this formula right here, which is y is greater than or equal to a negative 3/4 x plus 4, you can see that 4 is your y-intercept. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put 4 right here. And then you can see for your slope is going to be a negative 3/4. So I'm just going to go ahead and write a negative 3 over 4. Wonderful. Okay. So the next thing that we need to do when we're graphing inequalities, now that we put it in the y equals mx plus b format, and now that we wrote down what our slope is and our y-intercept is we need to go ahead and put our points on our graph. So the very first point that we're going to put on our graph is going to be our y-intercept. So I want you guys to look here. The y-intercept is 4. So I want you guys to go ahead and put it down right here. The 4 is perfect. And then we're going to put another point on the graph, but we need to do that using the slope. Now, there's a negative sign in front of this. Normally, with your slope is going to be rise over run, okay? Because this is a negative, we're not going to rise 3, but we are going to go down 3, and we're going to go over 4. So knowing that, I'm going to count down 3 spots, or 3 units, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go ahead and count over to my right 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go ahead and put a point right there. Now I'm going to draw a line. I want you guys to remember the kind of line that you're going to be drawing is going to be dependent upon your sign. This sign right here indicates that you are going to have a solid line. Any inequality that has a greater than or a greater than and equal to or a less than or equal to sign means that you're going to have a straight line, a solid line. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my solid line through my 2 points that I have. Okay, I'm going to add my little arrows at the end. I know you guys are probably talking about me, how horribly I'm drawing, and that's okay. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do some test points. We need our test points so that we know which side to shade on our graphs. And the side that we're going to shade in our graphs is pretty much saying that all of those points on that side of the graph are included in the solution. Okay, so as I discussed before during last class, we talked about test points, and we said typically you're going to use the test points 0, 0, unless you have a point on 0 itself. I mean, you can use any point as long as you don't have points as long as you're not testing points that you already have graphed, right? You can test any points, but the easiest route to go is just to test your points 0, 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our points that we are going to be testing. Remember, this is your x value and this is your y value. We're going to go ahead and plug it into this equation right here, which is y is greater than or equal to a negative 3/4 x plus 4, okay? So for y, the value of y, because of what we have right here, is going to be 0. 0 is greater than or equal to, okay? We have a negative 3/4. And our x, which is right here, is also going to be 0. Plus 4, okay? Now we know that this is going to remain the same, so we're going to just go ahead and bring this 0 down right here. So it's going to be 0 is greater than or equal to. And we know that anything times 0 will be 0. So the negative 3/4 times 0 is going to be 0. So I'm not going to go ahead and bring it down, but I am going to bring down the 4. So looking at this, I need to determine if this is true or not. So 0 is greater than or equal to 4. Is that true? No, it is not true. That is false. 0 is not greater than 4. So that means that this point right here, 0, 0, will not be shaded. And anything on this side of the graph will not be included in the solutions. But everything, sorry, my pen got stuck, on this side of your line will be included in your solution. So I want you to go ahead and shade your graph just like this. I love my purple pen. I'm going to give you guys a minute to go ahead and do that. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the next inequality that we have. Again, it's important. We need to make sure that our inequalities are in the y equals mx plus b form. And looking at this inequality, it doesn't look like it's in that form, which means that I'm going to have to solve for y, okay? So in order to get y by itself, I'm going to take this 3. So I'm going to do a negative 3 on this side, and I'm going to do a negative 3 on this side, and these would cancel out. That would leave me with y is less than or equal to 2x minus 3. Now, our inequality is in y equals mx plus b form, okay? So now we need to identify our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is going to be a negative 3. So I want you guys to go ahead and write negative 3. And then our slope is going to be 2. But remember, anytime that you have a whole number, our slope should always be in a fraction. So we're going to go ahead and put 2 over 1. 2 over 1 is the same thing as 2 because 1 goes into 2 times. So it's the same thing, but we need our slope to be in a fraction form. All right. Our next step is going to be putting a point on the graph for our y-intercept. So we know that our y-intercept is a negative 3. So we're going to go ahead and look down at our graph right here. Okay. And we're going to plot a point right here where the negative 3 is. Wonderful. Now we're going to go ahead and put some other points on our graph based off of the slope that we have. Our slope is 2 over 1. Over 1. Remember, our slope consists of our rise over run. Okay, so that means that we're going to rise up 2 spots, 1, 2, and we're going to go to the right 1, and that's going to be a point. I'm going to go ahead and make another point, so I'm going to rise up 2 units, 1, 2, and over 1, that's another point. And we're going to go ahead and rise up 2 more, 1, 2, over 1. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to rise up 2 more units and over to the right 1, plot points. I can do the same thing here if I want to put some more points going this way. So instead of rising up, I'd be rising down. So I can rise down 1 and over to the left 1 point. Okay. Now we're going to take a look at our inequality sign. Our inequality sign right here is going to determine what kind of line we're going to be using. Are we going to be using a dotted or a solid line? And as stated before, any of our less than or equal to signs will have a solid line. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my line here. You guys please don't talk about me. I know it's kind of crooked. Okay. You guys should be doing the same thing. You guys should be copying all of this down on your paper. So now that we have our line graph, now that we have our inequality graph, I should say, we're going to go ahead and test it because we need to know on which side of the graph we should be shading. So as usual, we're going to pick the test points 0, 0, and we're going to plug them into our formula right here. The y is less than or equal to 2x minus 3. Okay? Remember, this is your x value, and this is your y value. Wonderful. So we're going to go ahead and put 0 for our y value is less than or equal to 2. And we're going to put 0 for our x value minus 3. We're going to go ahead and bring our 0 down. We're going to carry our sign down, which is less than or equal to. Remember, anything times 0 is 0. All right? So that's not going to carry down with us, but we're going to bring down our negative 3. So we need to determine if this is true. If this is true. So is 0 less than or equal to negative 3? Less than or equal to negative 3? And I would say that would be false. 0 is not less than negative 3. Okay? So that means at this point on the graph, 0, 0 would not be included in our shade. Right? So everything on the opposite side of our line would be shaded. So I'm going to go ahead and shade that. Everything that I'm shading right now, all of these points are included in our solution. All right, you guys. So now that we finished that problem, I'm sorry about the music. Now that we finished that problem, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video, and I'm going to do some practice problems with you. So I want you guys to click on the next video, and then we'll go from there.